Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. But guys, week 6 of the P4G, the Minnesota Vikavolts are taking on the Adelaide Honchkrows and Coach Bill Standish in a week 6 epic matchup between two awesome teams. He's got a really cool team, and we're gonna break down our team and what we're bringing, why we're bringing it, and so on and so forth. So hit that like button down below if you're excited for the Vikavolts. We're trying to bounce back after a rough week last week where things just didn't go our way. I was pretty upset about it. I was in the middle of trying to get ready to leave for a trip, and I got back from my trip, and I had to prepare for this match, and I'm a little iffy about this one on paper, man. He's got a very scary team. He's 1-4, but that record does not indicate how well he's played and how good his team is, so we cannot take this one lightly. I do not want to lose back-to-back games. We had a lot of momentum, and things have kind of gone a little bit awry. I do want to let you guys know I did make some moves in free agency and things like that that won't be effect until next week. Next week, these moves will be in effect, so I ended up making some crazy stuff. I hope you guys dig what I did. You can let me know, but I dropped Decidueye, I dropped Alolan Golem, and I dropped Beware, and I picked up Donphan, I picked up Gourgeist, and I picked up Primeape. So the primary reason for doing that is I personally really like Gourgeist. It's the same typing as Decidueye. It's got a lot of versatility in the fact that you can run the different forms, and it's just a bulky grass type and ghost type spin blocker. Really like that. I also got Donphan back on the team to take a little bit of pressure off of Bronzong, because Bronzong has primarily been our stealth rocker. Alolan Golem doesn't really match up very well. It also gives me a really good ground type Pokemon to take some pressure off of Diggersby, which is my only ground type. So I really like the Donphan fit there. And then Primeape was a replacement as a fighting type Pokemon for Beware. Obviously, I think Beware is better, but Primeape gives me a really cool speed tier. It gives me Defiant to stop Defog, and it really kind of enhances my hazard game altogether. And it's got really good coverage options. So those are the moves I made. I'll talk a little bit about it in the matchup too, but that's kind of some of the stuff we decided to do. But let's run through Bill's team here. He's got a Kyurem Black, one of the biggest offensive threats in the format. This thing is an absolute monster, especially with Z Crystals. He's got a Reuniclus, which I'm always super scared about because Reuniclus can run like Trick Room sets. It gets Regenerator, it gets Magic Guard, so two really good abilities there. And it's really bulky. He's got a Galvantula, which makes this really difficult. He's got a Sticky Web team with that Galvantula, and it's just really hard to deal with. You know, I don't have the best ways to get rid of Sticky Web without Donphan. Like this week, if I had Donphan, it would make such a huge difference. It would be, like, you could see how Donphan would really match up well against this team. That, just alone, like, I mean, it would have a decent matchup at the very least to help me with Sticky Webs, but nevertheless, he's got a Chandelure, which is a huge threat. This thing hits so incredibly hard. He could be Specs, he could be Scarf, something like that. He's got the Braviary, which is a big threat, of course, in itself. Very fast Pokemon. At 80 base speed, but often seen with a Scarf. Hits really hard. Don't underestimate that stab. You got to have some sort of resistance to it because it can kind of run through you. He's got the Claydol, which is a rapid spinning defensive Pokemon. Gets rapid spin, stealth rock, levitate, which is really nice. Sharpedo, which is Mega Sharpedo, is his Mega. Not too concerned about Mega Sharpedo because it doesn't get to have the speed boost. It only Mega Evolves and it's base 105. But it could be a threat under webs. He's got Kartana, which is obviously a huge threat. Very paper thin special defense, but very bulky otherwise, and just a hard hitter. So hard hitter. He's got the Garbodor, of course. Garbodor, just a bulky Pokemon that can set up spikes and T-spikes and hazard stack. He's got Clefable. He made a trade for Clefable. We just played Clefable. He's got Clefable too, and Rhydon, of course. Rhydon is just a very bulky Pokemon, usually with Eviolite, and it matches up pretty well against our team. So, a couple things to note. I think we're going to see him bring webs. I think this could be a primary strategy, knowing that my only ways to get rid of them are defogging with Latias and Decidueye, both of which don't really have the best matchup. So I think he's going to bring webs. I think he's going to probably bring, if I had to guess, I think we're going to see Kyurem. I think we're going to see Galvantula. I think we're going to see Chandelure. I think we're going to see Kartana, Clefable, and Rhydon to route it out, because Rhydon is a really good check to Tapu Koko, and it's a really good check to Beedrill. So a couple things to note there. That's what I'm thinking he is going to bring. So let's break down our team, what we're bringing to try to counter that. And again, like I said, I am a little iffy about this one. Like last week, man, on paper, I just didn't like the matchup. It's weird. I think we have a great team, but last week I wasn't feeling the matchup. He just had too many things that could run through my team. This is a similar week, man. I'm a little sketched out about this one, but I did what I thought was the best. So we're gonna kick things off with Latias here, Honeydew, which is running Defog, Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, Trick, Mono Dragon coverage. I know that means we're walled by the Clefable, but hear me out here. Draco Meteor one-shots Kartana if he's not like Focus Sash anyway, or Assault Vest. I really like the Choice Scarf on this thing. by being Levitate, we avoid the sticky webs in the first place. We can guarantee a defog mid-game if I need to. Trick is super cool because his primary response to Latias is most likely Clefable, and I can just trick him my Choice Scarf and cripple the Clefable, make it a lot less useful. Same with Reuniclus. I can trick the Reuniclus, the Choice Scarf, make it a lot less useful. I'm also faster than any Scarfers he has, so if he does run webs and then he tries to run like Scarf Chandelure or Scarf Kartana or whatever it may be, I am faster than both those Pokemon. So I really felt like Scarf Latias was the way to go. It was a tough call, but I think this is a really cool set. And I'm running Draco Meteor and Dragon Pulse instead of running Psychic because I really don't want to put myself in a situation where I Draco Meteor and then I have the -2 and then I'm stuck in Draco Meteoring. If I could just Dragon Pulse, and with him having a couple like Dragon Pulse is better against him than Psychic would be, just noting his team. So I kind of wanted to have both options. You know, obviously the Draco Meteor is big for the nuke and I can use that, but I also don't want to be in a situation where I have to use that over Psychic. So that's kind of why I'm there. And again, I know I'm walled by Clefable, but my objective is to trick the Clefable and then switch out into a counter anyway, so it's all good. The next Pokemon we're bringing is our Beedrill here. I'm bringing Adamant Beedrill here. It's actually supposed to have Sniper instead of Swarm, but it doesn't matter because it has to Mega Evolve anyway. But it's got Poison Jab, Pursuit, U-Turn, and X-Scissor. I've got the Poison Jab on there, one-shots the Clefable. I've got the X-Scissor on there, which has about a 40% chance to one-shot max HP, max defense Reuniclus at full, which is super cool to know. X-Scissor also allows me to hit really hard without pivoting out. It does two-shot most variants of Kartana. We've got Pursuit there. Pursuit has a chance to one-shot, well, definitely one-shots Chandelure after Stealth Rocks, so that's really cool. And chances are, like, knockoff one-shots Chandelure in general, especially if I'm Adamant. So if I set in Beedrill, he's very likely to switch out Chandelure, in which case I can go for Pursuit. Pursuit, trap it, knock it out, and get rid of that thing. It also helps against Reuniclus, which otherwise, like I said, isn't really going to stay in against a Beedrill. So those are a couple things there. Helps against Claydol if he brings that for whatever reason. But otherwise, we're just hitting really, really hard with Pursuit. The U-turn's really awesome just to get some momentum, and Poison Jab is there for the Clefable. Again, I can't touch the Rhydon, so I'm just going to have to U-turn out on that. The next Pokemon we're bringing is our Bronzong, rocking that Colbur Berry. After I built this team, I realized that there was a pretty big weakness to Kartana, and the only way I can really remedy that was by kind of switching things up drastically and changing some Pokemon around, like adding Beware to the team, and I wasn't willing to do that because I really wanted Stealth Rocks. I really felt like Bronzong was a good response to Braviary if I needed it. It's also a decent response to Kartana, but he could have Night Slash. It also helps me take on the Kyurem, which is another threat. I think he's going to bring like an Earth Power Kyurem, which hits really hard, and it ignores our Levitate ability. So there's a couple things there that kind of make it tricky. I am running Levitate for Rhydon though as a primary switch into that. We've got the Grass Knot there for Rhydon and for Sharpedo. We've got Hidden Power Fire, which is there for Kartana, does one-shot it. And again, that Cold Berry will allow us to take the Night Slash and then fire back a Hidden Power Fire. Gyro Ball's there for things like Kyurem Black and stuff like that. So obviously something like Chandelure is going to wall us, but this isn't a response to Chandelure either way. So pretty much max HP, max special defense basically to take hits better from an Earth Power and Kyurem. Take hits a little bit better from things like Clefable, even if he has Flamethrower. So some stuff there. The next Pokemon we are bringing, actually I think this Pokemon has been brought to every single game this season, which is kind of weird because I typically like to mix it up, but this Pokemon has been, in my opinion, a very core piece of the team. We're bringing Siren again with the Wakan Berry, which does reduce the power of Electric type moves. That could allow us to live a Galvantula Electric type move like a Thunder or a Thunderbolt, but more importantly, what it does, it allows us to take a Bolt Strike from Kyurem Black. So if Kyurem Black goes for the Bolt Strike, normally that could potentially knock us out. We've got the Wakan Berry, we can go for a big Moonblast and knock it out because it's such a big threat. I really like that option. Scald, Moonblast, Psychic is there for things like Garbodor. It's also there, what was the Psychic else? I think the Psychic was pretty much there just for Garbodor. And then we've got Perish Song, which is kind of cool, but Perish Song keeps the Clefable and the Reuniclus from setting up on me. I can Perish Song, limit their amount of turns, and kind of limit their effectiveness as setup sweepers. The next Pokemon we're going to be bringing is going to be our Tapu Koko Blackhawk, rocking modest Life Orb, enough speed to outspeed Kartana, Thunderbolt, Grass Knot, Taunt, and Dazzling Gleam. This is most likely to be my dedicated lead. Now, unfortunately, I don't have pivoting options, but if I see Galvantula, I'm probably going to lead Tapu Koko so I can taunt it. That might put me in the back foot, but I can potentially get rid of that thing, or at least stop its sticky webs, which could be really useful. Give me an opportunity to Grass Knot and put in some work. You know, Grass Knot with Life Orb modest does have a chance to knock out Rhydon, unless he's max special defense, and HP. Grass Knot does knock it out, so that's really good to know. Thunderbolt absolutely rips through his team otherwise, and Dazzling Gleam has a chance to one-shot the Kyurem. So a couple things to note there. We obviously just put huge holes in his team with the offensive moves otherwise, especially under electric terrain. He doesn't have the best options to switch into it aside from maybe a Rhydon, and that's where Grass Knot comes in. So this thing could really put him some work, but I gotta keep those sticky webs off the field. Now last but not least, I need something to help me against that Chandelure and a little bit against that Clefable because they're just such huge threats. So I decided to go with Luna here or Umbreon. Foul Play, Taunt, Moonlight, Baton Pass. Tiny bit of speed, mostly special defensive with max HP. This thing's primary purpose is to check the Chandelure. I obviously am a little worried about a trick Chandelure with like Choice Specs or something like that, but you can only prep so much for it. I really wanted leftovers on this thing, so I've got those couple things going for me there. The Moonlight obviously just gives us immediate recovery. Taunt is great because we do outspeed Clefable unless he puts a lot of speed on there. Same with Reuniclus. I can taunt both of those and stop them from setting up, and I can, you know, at least not necessarily beat Clefable one-on-one, but I can take multiple Moonblasts from an uninvested Clefable, and I can taunt it to keep it from setting up, and then switch into something like a Bronzong as like a check, or even Beedrill or something like that. So we do have some options there. This is gonna be a really tough matchup, guys. Like I said, I mean, he's just put so much pressure on the team by having that threat of sticky webs and just having so many monsters. Like between Kyurem Black and Chandelure, those two things like really rip through my team, and then Kartana, those three like really spread the team thin. So I'm in a tricky situation, and then Rhydon can kind of like round it out and block things like Beedrill from putting in more work than I otherwise would like. But our key to this game is we got to keep those stealth rocks off the field. I'm sorry, those sticky webs off the field. If I can keep webs off or at least remove them before they put in too much work, then I should be okay, because I think things like Koko and Beedrill can really put in some work. But again, I got to get rid of those webs, and if I can get rid of those webs, then something like Beedrill can put in some work, like I said, and Koko too. So that's gonna be the game plan, man. I hope you guys are excited. Match will be going up tomorrow. Get hyped for that. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are hyped for the match. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Peace.